giving me the microphone, then I have to give you a gift. And this is my latest film. It's called Jihad on Terrorism. It's a film actually that took me like 3 years to do. And we filmed in 7 countries. And we're not about condemning terrorism more than we are about exploring the root causes of terrorism in order to defeat it. So I hope you accept this from me, and hopefully this can change a little bit of your ideas. Also, this film will be screened on Sunday at 4 p.m. in Verden Theater Instoolgaten. And it's a free movie, so you can all come, inshallah. I wish you come and give me your idea. The only thing that I really didn't like now in what Hege said is mentioning the negatives only, not mentioning that the best cardiologist in the UK is actually an Egyptian, and that Ahmed Zewail, the winner of Nobel Prize for Physics, is an Egyptian. And maybe one of the best surgeons in Denmark is actually a Syrian. And he is an Islamist, by the way. And all of those people actually believe also in Islam. The issue is, we shouldn't only focus on the negatives. And to highlight only the negatives like that, this is very destructive for the society. Because my question to Hege was, can a good practicing Muslim be a good citizen? Her answer was, the good Muslims that I know are secularists. So this is a message to all non-Muslims here, is that when you see those people in the street with a beard like me, or someone who goes to the mosque, or a veiled woman who is wearing a scarf on her head, those are not good citizens. Fear them. And this is creating actually an atmosphere of fear. Believe me, I believe that Andreas Breivik is a victim of such kind of mindset that is spreading this hatred between people and between neighbors. If I can have a little bit of time to refute some of the misconceptions that were said about Islam in her speech. Actually,
2 minutes.
2 minutes, thank you. Okay, so yeah, thank you. Actually, if we go to the Sharia, the Sharia is just a legislation, like the Anglo-Saxon legislation, French legislation. This is the Islamic legislation. And I think, like people who are promoting their own ideologies, Islamists also have the right to democratically promote their own ideologies. But they don't have the right to force it on anyone. But if they say that maybe you have some things that we have some things that you can benefit from, oh non-Muslims, then listen to them. For example, the Sharia doesn't only cut off hands, because the first thing that jumps to the minds of non-Muslims when I say Sharia is what? Cutting off hands. But actually, there is more than theft which is prohibited. One of the things that are prohibited, or 2 things that are prohibited in Sharia, is securitization and selling loans by loans. The 2 things that led to the 20 million people losing their jobs in 2008 in Europe and in the United States of America. So there's a lot more than just the penal code and the severe punishments that are in the Sharia. It's true that there are some severe punishments in the Sharia, but it's unjust if people just suddenly find it. No, excuse me, before I steal, I know that if I steal, I'll get my hand cut off. So the issue is, if you inform a person of the consequences before committing any crime, that's not unjust actually. And you know what? I wish that you can go to a jail where people are locked up for 10 years and over 10 years for theft, and you ask them, what would they prefer? To stay here for 10 years, knowing that their children are growing away from them, graduating away from them, getting married away from them, and their wives are widowed when they are still alive, or maybe 10 years ago they could have got their hand cut off and stay. You ask them and tell me, is there anyone who will say this or not?
You made your point. Hege is nodding a lot of things. You have 2 minutes too, Hege.
Actually, I'm not shocked. Not at all, because I was expecting to meet a pure Islamist, and here we go. when it comes to his manipulations, I don't fear anyone, Fadel. Maybe I fear you if you come into power because of your dark views on humanity. Norwegians, we in general, we are very open people. And we love people coming to our culture from so-called cultures on other continents like Africa and Asia, if they adjust and live happily in Norway. You are saying that Sharia, you are entitled to have Sharias like the French have their penal code. Well, we are talking about quite a different system, if I might say so. And when it comes to Sharia, the first that comes to my mind is, of course, not cutting off hands. But it is in the Cairo Declaration. The thing is, the first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to Sharia and Norway is what I have met for 20 years now. Muslim women being deprived of divorce, while the husband is marrying a second wife under Sharia in the mosques. That's a huge problem in Norway. So this is your wonderful Sharia, your just Sharia, that the woman is a second citizen. She has fewer rights than the man. You might promote this as long as you live. I will fight against it. I will fight for equality. I will fight for dignity for everyone, no matter what background you have. I will never, ever go into that kind of group thinking that my partner here has done today. I will fight for the individual's right to be an individual with full freedom, and also freedom under responsibility for your surroundings.
Okay.
But I'm very happy.
No, you made your point.
I'm very happy.
You got 3 minutes already. I'm really interested in what the philosopher has to say on this, because Jonas wants to say something as well. Thank you again.
Well, just a short comment. I don't think you live up to the Hege, to your idea of not practicing group thinking, I must say, because I hear you all the time speaking only about groups. Islam, we in Norway, you said, we in Norway like that other people come here. That's a group you speak of, and you speak of the Muslim group. So, according to Frederik Stjernfeldt and Jens Martin Eriksen, you have probably read the book, The Politics of Separation. Maybe you have. They are quite critical to the whole Danish cartoon affair, and they are defenders of many of the same values that that you are. For example, that free speech and religious satire should be legal, and but they also criticize group thinking, and they say that both right-wing and left-wing multiculturalists tend to apply group thinking. Both Muslims and non-Muslims tend to do that when we speak. But cultures are not static, they are not holistic, and they change all the time. Just regarding, we got away from the history theme, because that's a very good point, I think. And it would be obvious to apply history to these debates. For example, to see how the Cairo Declaration, which you speak of, in fact, has some similarities with the early Western and American and European declarations of human rights, because they also had some religious restrictions. I mean, they also mentioned Christianity and God and all that, but then you had the whole list of rights. And eventually God disappeared out of it, and yeah. But why say this is the Islamic way of speaking of human rights? Let's say this. Why not say this is one Islamic way of speaking about human rights, and it can change?
I guess that's a very good point. Values can change.
Thank you.
Before Fadel and Tege get the chance to answer, we have a comment from the audience.
Hi. I just have a short comment to you, Hege. I'm related to your introduction. I just want to say that in Norway it's a principle that you're innocent until the sentence is set. I think it's remarkable that you defend the Western values while you're violating this very important principle of both rights and a fair trial by bringing up all these names of people who haven't been sentenced yet. And also, I want to point out that I think it's really dangerous that you put everyone in groups. And I also want to say to you that you should ask all these Muslim women here, a parent, what they think about what you're saying. Because you're talking from your point of view and you are not a Muslim. Thank you.
Now, Fadl, 3 minutes, and then Hege.
Okay, quickly in 3 minutes. There's a lot of misconceptions that were thrown already on Islam. Each one of them needs like 20 minutes, actually. So I will just quickly speak about freedom of speech. Because actually, Hege, in her, when she talked about the Sharia, said that criticizing Islam is forbidden, criticizing Muhammad is forbidden. Actually, criticizing Islam is welcomed, and criticizing Muhammad is welcomed in the Quran itself. The Quran itself mentions that people criticized Muhammad. They said that he is a liar. They said he is crazy. They said he is a sorcerer. And that was even mentioned. So the issue is, no, criticizing Islam and Muhammad and the Quran is welcomed as long as it is with respect, which means that you give me a question and you wait for an answer. But you don't have the freedom to slander. Actually, I can't call people in the street son of a B word. No, that's not freedom of speech. And in the most secular systems, freedom of expression is limited. No, there are things that you cannot do. Children pornography is not considered as freedom of expression. For example, hatred literature can be also banned. Same thing. So there are things that are not allowed in Islam which are in the area of slander. But at the same time, I need to talk about the Danish cartoon, because what made Muslims angry is not the Danish cartoon. Any successful person is always, by the way, attacked. And Prophet Muhammad was attacked for 14 centuries. We had no problem with this. But what really made us very angry is the reaction of the Prime Minister at that time when he went out saying that this is freedom of speech. Excuse me, a cartoon with a bomb-shaped turban of Muhammad, you say that's freedom of speech. Had this cartoon been for a chief rabbi with a bomb-shaped hat, he could have never said so, or he would lose office next day. So the problem is with double standard in dealing with Muslims. This is really what is troubling us so much. Is there time to speak about polygyny?
1 more minute.
How can I do so in 1 minute, actually? Well, quickly, because she spoke about the several marriages. The problem is when we think our culture superior than other cultures. Excuse me, Islam is for all people. It's like water, it's pure. Doesn't have a color, doesn't smell anything, doesn't taste salty or sweet. So it's for all people. So there are cultures that would accept such solutions. And I came from a family that had this issue. My aunt, she lived a 39 years love story with her husband, and she was never able to have children. 7 years ago, she said, I want to see the dream coming true. So she took her husband and she married him to another lady who never got married. God knows why, maybe just less fortunate. She bought an apartment for them in the same building. And the second wife, the first child she got was a girl. She named her Hanan after my aunt's name. The man goes to work and both women sit to take breakfast every day with 3 children around them. If there are people who would accept such solutions for their own problems, who are you to ban it?
Okay. As a comment? Just a comment? Hege, are you okay with Jonas having the comment before you talk?
I promise you it will
And then
just
you
take
get
1 second. I think that we should allow polygamy, but please allow it also women to have more men. So then there will be no problem. So let allow anyone to have as many wives.
Okay. 4 minutes, because you were waiting so patiently.
I applaud that one. This young lady, I don't think you presented yourself, but you said that I had rattled off a lot of names. No, there were only one name, Mona Tony. There were only one name. You can come and check. Mona Tony, the wife of the dead Stockholm bomber. Yeah. So you should be precise. And when it comes to talking with Muslim girls and women, I think I have quite a long record of doing that. I started in 92. I started in 92. I went to Pakistan, living there for 2 years. I'm in contact with Muslims every day. Yeah. That's why also I have the knowledge I have. Through books, through meetings with Muslims, and so on. Anyway, I don't want to have we and them. And I don't believe in groups. In a debate, like you also, when you had your introduction, you are talking about Christianity and Islam. And yeah, it's in a debate, it's not always, you manage to say, not in general, I'm not talking in general, I'm not talking in general, I am not. There are the vast differences between Muslims. I have written books about this. You could read one book from '96 called Mashallah, A Journey Amongst Women in Pakistan. You will find any kind of person there. I know this. This is not a debate. The debate is, why is Islam not giving people free, open democracies? That is the main question for us here today and in the future to come. Because millions and millions of people are suffering. I don't think you manage to grip that. They are suffering because of use or abuse. It's up to you to judge use or abuse of Islam. And we, in our society, is mainly finished with superstition. We don't run down the churches. We don't believe that Maria was a virgin, and so on. And then a new religion is entering our society, and so many people lose their minds, lose their common critical sense, because they are strangers. You are doing them strangers then. I want to relate to a person. And we should relate to persons. And we should not give Islam all this attention. That I agree on. Because Islam doesn't deserve it at all. Mr. Fadel Suleiman, he didn't answer me. I wanted to have one example. One example on a country in this world who has prospered due to Islam. And I want to have an answer, why is it so that we have managed to make such good human societies in the West and they don't manage in the Muslim world? That's the core question.
I'm ready to answer this.
And don't blame the West, please.
What we're going to do now, there were so many comments now, so we're going to collect some comments and then you can answer this, okay? Comments from the audience.
Yeah, I just want to say that I stand on my point. I can't go further into it because it will take too much time. So I'll give the microphone further on. But the names I was relating to, you mentioned a lot of nationalities about people who were being verdicted, is that the right word? To being terrorists. And that's the list I was referring to.
Thanks. Okay, so remember, keep the comments short. A lot of hands now.
My name is Abdullah. I am from Eritrea. And I want to comment on Ms. Hege. She said it's strange to be Muslim. If this question you can ask in the Abyssinian Muslims from Ethiopia and Eritrea, I am an Eritrean. It's not strange to be Muslim and Christian. We are living together for 1,400 years ago, and now you're still afraid. My question for you is, there is at least 1.5 milliard Muslims and 1.5 Chinese and 1.5 milliard Indians and other nations. Who are you to talk or to represent as my human right and tell me that this is a human right way? Who are you to represent me don't tell me you are a United Nation or not. The Palestinians are human, but there is an American veto. Who are you?
Okay, a couple more comments.
I just got one comment on the list of the names you said. You know, there is video cameras here. They can show you later that you said a lot of names. And the other thing is about the history. The history repeats itself, you know. That's why, because Muslims, you ask yourself, why are Muslims in the bottom of the society and why are they living in the ghettos? It's because we fled from countries who had dictatorships, who worked for the colonialists, European colonialists. You see, they were put in the power by the colonial imperialists. And that's why we fled from them and we came to your country. And instead of for you to take us with open arms and open mind, no, you throw us in the ghettos, you give us the worst jobs, yeah, you give us the worst studies, and then you ask yourself, yeah, and then you ask yourself, why are Muslims the worst people in the European countries? Yeah.
Well, there was a comment over there. It was a very high hand.
Yeah. To the question, we should name a country which prospered due to Islam, and you have to go back a little bit in history, and I just came to the example in Andalusia in Spain, and I think it was like the Mauritian culture there, which was a lot more developed than the old Christian culture of Spain at this time. They brought science to Europe, and the whole still many names in Spain do have Arab origin because of that. And I think it's and then with the Reconquista, when the Christians actually threw the Muslims out, it turned into a lot more segregated society there, because it was a very tolerant Islam in general, which was lived there, in comparison to the inquisitional culture of the church.
Okay, if you give us 1 more minute, we take 2 or 3 more comments, and then the floor is all yours.
Oh, I have so many comments. I think it's a very good point that Western Europeans has not always been superior, or if it's, you can use the word superior, because Muslims has also been, you know, that's your example. They came to Spain and brought science with them when we were, you know, Christians, medieval Christians. And I also have a question to you, Hege. Do you think that changes in a country or conditions in a country is all due to religion, not politics? Because I have an example. For example, the Catholic, when the Protestants, you know, Martin Luther, he had this idea of well, that we were gonna be Christians by ourselves and not, you know, through the church. And this spread because, or a lot of the reason it spread was because leaders in countries thought, okay, this is great because this makes us the leaders and not the Pope. So let's bring it to our country, so we will get, you know, the barons and stuff away. So we're the superior leader, and we will get, you know, money, not the Pope and not Rome. And that's, you know, an example of religion spreading due to politics, not just religion. So,
yeah, so write that down. You got another comment?
Yes, my name is Moses. I'm from Tanzania, and I think it's all about being open-minded. I believe that if I were born in an Islamic family or Christian family, I would be a Muslim or Christian. And in Tanzania, you will never find any tension between Muslims and Christians and those who are not religious, just because we think it's too personal when it comes to religion. It's about me as a person and God. I can dress as a saint, and still inside I can be very dirty. Yeah. So I think living by judging other people that they are wrong and I'm right, or them and we, I think that can cause a lot of crisis in the world. So I think the most important thing is to respect each other and stand as a person. If you're a Muslim, stand as a person. If you're a Christian, stand as a person, as a Christian, for yourself, and not start fighting to convert or push others to the other line. Just convince. Thank you.
Now I guess we have to give the panel the chance to answer. I noted all the comments for that. Yes,
yeah.
You will have the chance to answer too.
Okay. Actually, quickly, I would like also to remind Hege with my question, why did she stop at this point of the verse? Was it intentionally to mislead us or unintentionally out of ignorance and she had the homework to do before throwing in us? Something like that. So I would like to hear an answer from her. Also, speaking about Islam and blaming Islam that Muslim countries are not doing well, excuse me. Muslim countries are not applying Islam or the Sharia or anything. The first revolution was in Tunisia. Do you think that the regime in Tunisia was Islamic? It was anti-religious, anti-Islamic. The women who wear hijab or wear a headscarf in Tunisia at the time of Ben Ali and the time of Bourqiba, they had to go and sign every week in the police station like prostitutes. And they did not do well, actually. Actually, not because Egypt was also anti-Sharia and anti-Islam. And what happened? Did we land on the moon? Excuse me, you want to know a country today, not Andalusia, a country today whom one of its, you can say it's a very open-minded, very prosperous country, and at the same time, their laws have a lot of aspects from the Sharia. It's Malaysia. It's Malaysia. Well, there's a lot of laws in Malaysia that would actually anger you a lot, but like anti-homosexuality, like many things that are based, by the way, on Islam. So no, you cannot blame Islam for this. Actually,
you got one more minute.
Okay, well, this minute is about the brother who talked from Tanzania. This is exactly very Islamic. In Islam, it is very personal. If you're a Jew or a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist or whatever, or a people of no faith even. The closest advisor to Saladin. Saladin was the Muslim king who conquered the Crusaders and returned back Palestine to the Muslim world. His closest advisor was Moshe ibn Maimonides, the most famous Jewish scientist in all through the Jewish history. And he was a chief rabbi. He was a Jew, but he was a scientist. Being Jewish, Muslim, or Christian, this is personal. But in Islam, being a scientist, that's not personal. The society has to benefit from you and should be given higher ranks. And I hope that Hege addresses my question to her.
Very good. Hege, you got 4 minutes.
Yes, could you please repeat the sentence?
You said, God has made you a superior nation. And then you continued, the best nation. And you stopped at this point. But the verse continues saying, God has made you the best nation because you enjoin the good and forbid the evil and believe in him.
That is exactly the same. If you are a Muslim, you belong to the best nation. So thank you. When it comes to Moses, wasn't it the same? You are the best nation if you do like Allah says. Okay, no, but I have not manipulated. You are manipulating all the time, sorry. I would like to say to Moses, I think you have very good perspectives. And if we all followed your way, we wouldn't have many problems in this world. Because then we would accept individuals being individuals. When it comes, I've got so many questions now. When it comes to the example with Andalusia, I was expecting that one. I think you should go and read the history books and look at the level of development in Andalusia when the Islamic warriors came in 711, and also see on the status on religious minorities in Andalusia, the dhimmi status, and also you should check out why they were thrown out. Fred from... Yeah, and there was Abdullah from Eritrea. Yes, you are there. No, I am not the one who is going to decide this. But we have something called UN's Universal Declaration on Human Rights. That was made after the Second World War. It was signed by the whole Muslim world except one country, Saudi Arabia. But the development has gone in reverse when it comes to respecting human rights in the Islamic world. And I'm so sorry for that.
Is it applied for the Palestinians? They are people. Is it applied?
It was not a state at that moment. I'm saying the countries signing that declaration. When it comes to the... I don't think you mentioned your name.
Yasir.
Huh?
Yasir.
Yasir. This is very dangerous what you are doing. You are lying. You are lying, and I hope you don't understand that you are lying. Do you know what the European politicians, the leaderships, what they are really working so hard to manage?
30 seconds.
To give the most marginalized groups in this continent, at this continent, and especially young Muslims, to educate them and get their labor force. We need it badly, don't you understand? Yeah, and go and look at the universities. There are lots of Muslims there. But I must also say that there are actually also quite a lot of Muslims connected to universities who would love the Sharia of Fadl Suleiman. You have that, for example, at the Islamnet, where I'm going to speak on Monday. They don't want our freedom in this society. They want Sharia.
5 minutes already. And I see Jonas wants to say something. So we give the word to Jonas. Then we collect a couple more comments. Make them short, because we have to leave very soon. And then the three of you will have the possibility of a final word. Okay? So Jonas.
Okay, thanks. It really puzzles me. Is it arrogant to say that if Muslims are good Muslims and they believe in God and the Prophet, then they are the superior nation? Let's. I don't know. Okay.
They enjoy the good and forbid the evil.
Then they are the best.
Then they are the best. So no, just yeah. Okay, thanks. Would it be arrogant for Christians to say, if we enjoy the good and forbid the evil, then we are the best, or we are the rest? Okay, yeah, I'm just puzzled. Yeah, it's a good question actually, but I think now I would like to challenge you a little bit because I am very. I think.
Okay, 1 more minute for challenging.
Okay, shit. I'm sorry. You say many interesting, sympathetic things. I say so. I'm very inspired by that. I just have one question, and it comes because I, as a secular European, would say, because you said the Sharia as the solution to would be the best for Egypt to implement, because that would protect the Christian minority for the majorities. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, a Christian citizen. But would you agree? I mean, I would love the a kind of egalitarian, solidary Sharia to be expressed and practiced. But if that's what if it could be, but for me to live in a society where the laws were defined by a religion would be not tolerable, because I would not because. I think the laws and the basic system of human rights should be formulated in a language that everyone can understand. So I don't understand the religious language. I don't understand it. But I think Christians and Muslims, they understand actually as a language of human rights that is not that does not belong to a particular religion. So it would. Do you see my point?
Good point. Okay, now we're gonna get some comments, and then you guys have the final word. Now make the comments short, because we only have 8 minutes left, and then we have to leave.
When can I have the time to answer all this? Actually, this is a perfect. Number one, you asked me about women having...
found it, sorry, hey, sorry. Oh, audience, thanks.
Yes, for you three people there who are talking, I want to introduce myself. I'm a Yurt, and I have a reason that I came to Norway. I'm from Afghanistan. I cannot make it quick, because I have seen the war and the bombs with these eyes. And for me, terror, I don't understand the meaning of terror. You have to define the terror before we talk about it. What is the object of our discussion? What we are talking about? Bloodshed is bloodshed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any form. What's terror?
Yes, my name is Mansoor. I come from Afghanistan. And my question, I want to make a comment to Hege. Hege, you talked about dignity, but your dignity, we saw it. You are full of hatred and so on. And to make a comment on dignity, in your comments you have mentioned some statistics. And you are lying about this statistic about 394 terrorist attacks in Europe in 2010. And you have mentioned 4 rights and 2 lefts and three Muslims. Who are the others? Who are the others terrorists? In these 394 terrorist attacks or done by terrorists and Interpol, has registered it, what 3 Muslims and 391 Christian terrorist attacks. And you are talking about Muslim terrorists are in the majorities, lying and talking about dignity. And on one... okay. And let's say if all people will listen to you, you will create students just like Anders Breivik Bering, yes. Because he was, in my opinion, he was a student going in your online university, which your websites and some people who are delivering informations from all over the world and make it just like copy and paste and delivering to these students. And he was, in my eyes, he is a best student, a best creation which was created by you. And you are very dangerous, and that you have not learned anything from this 22nd of July.
Okay, sorry, we can't get all comments, so only the ones who have been signed to.
Okay, I'm going to be quick. You're talking a lot about history and religion and all things like that behind. But what about now? What have we seen in 2011, the Arab Spring? What about that, Hege? People who are standing up for the democracy and their meanings. What do you think about that? You had not mentioned with one word.
Thanks for this one. So last comment.
Hi, my name is Wael and I'm from Palestine. My question is to you, Hege. Have you been protesting against what's happening in Palestine for once in your life? Have you been protesting against what the Israelis is doing to Gaza people and the 1,600 people who were killed like in less than a month? Have you been in these demonstrations? I guess not.
Okay, now we have a really great challenge. No more comments, I'm sorry. But each of you guys have 2 minutes. One Muslim woman. I think we have time for that. Over there.
You said that she should ask some Muslim women why we are Muslims and why we cover. The problem is that since I'm not secular, I'm not a good Muslim in her eyes. She doesn't want to listen to me. She can listen to me, but then she will, and I can answer, this is my choice. But if I say this, she will say, but you have a bunch of Muslim men with beards behind you controlling what you say. So it doesn't matter what I answer. It doesn't matter how good I am in school, how happy I am in my marriage, how good self-esteem I have, because she will only see a controlled Muslim woman. So she's the person that are depriving me my integrity as a woman. And I also, just one more thing. What really hurted me the most today is what you say about people believing is that Norwegian doesn't run to churches. Well, there are many Christians in Norway still, and you are not respecting them as believing. So I feel that was krenke. Yeah, that was really violating very many believing people in Norway. And I read that 68 people in Norway believe, they have a belief. So you should be careful how you define people that are believing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mansour, I didn't say 300 and something. You can have it afterwards what I said. So you have misunderstood completely. Dignity, yes, I have dignity. I am not full of hatred. Why the hell do I work for children and women? When it comes to the Arab Spring, let's see what happens in the Arabic world. I am praying to God that they will have human rights there and not Sharia. No, I have not been demonstrating when it comes to Palestine. I have been demonstrating when it comes to honor violence and so on. I can't be everywhere. To the lady who didn't present her name, yes, when it comes to women, women can wear burqa, they can wear niqab, they can wear Western clothes, they can wear hijab, they can also be fundamentalists, they can also be terrorists, they can be communists, and so on. Respecting an individual, that's on my heart, to respect an individual. But I will never respect a religion or a political belief who is in full collision with human rights and respect for the individual. That's something totally different. Thank you.
Well, in 2 minutes, I have to tell you something. How Islamophobes deceive non-Muslim Westerners. It's through a dirty game called the cut and paste game. If you ask me about my cat, I can tell you she's pretty ugly. And if you go here and you just take out this word, ugly, it's as if I'm saying she's pretty. 180% opposite, actually. Many things here that are, I'm quoting from Islamophobes, how they use this cut and paste game against us. One of the things is, like, Islam has a lot of things in its book that tells Muslims to kill non-Muslims. Actually, I bet that you cannot. I challenge anyone to find me anything like that. Let me show you just an example. Here, that is, kill them.
1 minute for your example.
Okay, sure. Kill them wherever you find them. In the Quran. Excuse me. Just tell them the whole thing. This is the verse. It says, fight in the cause of Allah those who fight against you, and do not transgress your limits, for Allah does not love transgressors. And kill them wherever you find them, and get them out from where they got you out. So this is talking to people who were dragged out of their homes and their country is occupied, like when the Norwegian fought the Nazis, like when the French fought the Nazis. Okay, and the rest of the verse says, and fight them on until there is no more oppression, and there prevail justice and faith in Allah. But if they cease, let there be no hostility except to those who practice oppression. They will never show you anything of that except those 5 red words out of a long 7 lines verse. This is what they do to non-Muslims. They deceive them by doing this dirty game of cut and paste. And I have a lot of examples here.
Good point. That's your final point? Thank you.
All of those who have been speaking about hatred and who believes that, for example, Hege is promoting hatred, I just want to ask you not to hate her, for her. If you think she is hating someone, don't hate anyone back. I'm not saying that anything about you or anyone. I'm just saying don't hate back when you meet the hatred, because I think it's been a good atmosphere. Thank you.